Yeah. Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Sorry, I'm running a little late. A lot of issues here because I'm using I'm on a new connection, so got all these.
Amazing. You was amazing son to your parents, amazing husband to your wife, and awesome dad.
Just muted everyone. This is kind of hectic. The biggest issues with the YouTube, it keeps asking me to verify myself because I'm in another country. So I think we're good though. So let's just get to our analysis. I'll fix the YouTube later if necessary. But I think we're good for the most part. All right, so let's see what we got here. So let's start off by marking up as much liquidity as we can real quick. Market's moving kind of crazy right now, so it's okay. We don't really have too much to worry about. Dang, it looks like the same liquidity from like earlier this week. It hasn't even gotten hit yet. So I'm not going to mark up too much. Go down to the 4 hour. Down to the 1 hour. Go down to the 30-minute. Yeah, it looks like overall, I mean, volatility hasn't really moved too much. It's moved back and forth, but not necessarily, to knock out this liquidity that's been sitting here pretty much for the past couple months. All right, got liquidity marked up. Let's go back to the 1 minute. All right, looks like we're good to go. So, all right, guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, February 13th. It is 6:39 right now, your guys' time, 8:39 my time, 2 hours ahead over here in Oaxaca. Let me turn this off real quick. Got liquidity target right there. Liquidity target right there. Liquidity target right there. All right, so closest level of liquidity below is at 44,449. Below that's 44,435, and above we have it over here at 44,629. The breakout for today, well, we'll just not look at the breakout because it's already too far. It's too far gone. We'll look for some reversals here though. So looking at this so far, it looks like the buyers might be back in control from this point. We got one confluence right here, engulfing candle. Looks like we got one confluence, possibly a MPS V2 setting up right here. Let's see what's here so far. Morning, Lila. Morning, Christian. Morning, iPhone. I would say, where you at, bro? She looks nice. I'm in my Airbnb. I'm in Oaxaca, Mexico. It's like more central. It's a little different first time here. It's cool though. This Airbnb is like super aesthetic. So my background obviously looks way different from what we're used to. So let's see. We got nothing coming up right here yet. We have an engulfing candle that's right here. We have a possible MPS V2 setting up. So we got a buy signal right here. We have a retracement. If the candle crosses and breaks past this momentum here, this could be a possible MPS V2. I'm not necessarily looking for this specific entry here because I'm looking for the A++ setup. So if you guys want to take this here, I'll mark it up for you guys. But for me personally, I'm probably going to wait for, a better setup to come up here. So here's market open. Right there. See if there was news today. Let's see. So there was news this morning, high impact news at 5:30. It was pretty much all positive. We had PPI news. So we have PPI month over month, which is inflation news, initial jobless claims, all positive. So from 5:30 a.m. we had some news over here. I'll mark, it's obviously this crazy looking candle over here. Color that pink. All right, so if this candle right here closes above this black line, this is going to be an MPS V2. If anybody is looking to take that, like I said, I'm gonna hold off on that because I'm looking for my A++ setup. So I'll probably leave that alone for now, and then maybe look for the next entry. It's about to close up shortly. We got about 15 seconds left on this here. Five seconds. Looks like it's gonna close here if anybody's looking to take it. All right, candle close. There's an MPS V2 running right now. We'll follow it, but I'm not in the position because I'm looking for my A++ setup, not necessarily any setup, but mainly an A++ setup for sure. So there we go as it continues on. And I'm just setting up the settings over here real quick. So I'm not in this position. We're just following it. Just trying to see where it goes for the most part. I'm waiting for that A++ setup. So if we get an A++ setup that comes up after this, I'll get into it for a later entry. I'll just move this for now so you guys don't think I'm in the position. But if we do get like an engulfing candle right here or a V1 variation, anything like that, I'll be looking to get in for basically a late entry. Still pushing in profit. So if this pushes past this area, this could be a possible engulfing candle. And we'll see what happens from here. Hey, Glenn, morning. Morning, Lamar. Morning, David. Morning, Joe. Morning, still everybody. Pushing in profit. I mute myself right here. All right, so the trade's still running, guys. Looks like the MPS V2 is, oh crap. Okay, so this is an engulfing candle right here. I think it's too late for me to make entry. If it retraces down at all, I'll probably try to get in. So let's see. If it retraces, so let's see the 534 mark. Yeah, it's a little too late for me to make entry here. But there's two entries running alongside each other. We have the MPS V2 that's running right here. I think it already hit TP actually. So the MPS V2 came up right here. And then we have the engulfing running right alongside it right here.
Order submitted. Order.
Okay, so I can try to get in right here later. There we go. So the
Order filled.
554. So a little bit. So I'll try to follow it right here. The MPS V2 already hit TP. This is the engulfing running alongside it. So first one hit, second one's still running. And then we'll kind of see how this here moves around. Volatility here is not super, super high. ATR is currently at 23. So again, the first entry right here hit. This was an MPS V2. Then we had a A++ setup that came up right after right here. This engulfing candle. 504. Volatility is actually pretty flat. Let me check if there's news today. Not really much. We got gas stock change at 7:30. But for the most part, volatility here is a little flat. So first entry already hit TP right there. And we have the second one currently active at the moment. Yeah, we're not really getting too much. Looks like the volatility here is kind of flattened out a little bit. Got some structure right here.
Stop filled.
Got stopped out of that right there. It's all good. So the MPS V2 did hit, and then the fortunately the A++ setup over here did not hit.
Stop filled.
See, make sure everything's out. It's all good. I'll be looking for the next one here. Just want to make sure everything's out of the position. Because I've had issues in the past. These here. Okay. Looks fine. All right, so we'll look for the next entry here. So one entry hit TP, the other one didn't. Looks like we're in a consolidation phase right here. Yeah, there's just not very much volatility. We had volatility like slightly on open, and then it kind of died out right here. Let's see where this is at. Sorry, it's just hard to see everything here right now because the screen's a lot smaller than what I'm used to. So I'm kind of looking all over the place here. Okay, so we got this right here. Price is now kind of going down. We'll see that it looks like the sellers might be back in control here. I'll put a red line. We had an engulfing candle right there. That's where it started to look a little bad because we had the engulfing candle come down. So sellers are trying to push price down as we speak. Right here, now we have a possible MPS V2 setting up. We have first engulfing, then we'll have an MPS V2 setting up right here. If this sell signal does close, we'll look for that to come up, retrace, come back down for retrace continuation, and then we'll look for an A+ setup to the downside. What time is this? 6:45. I'll follow through with it right here. Volatility looks really slow right now. There's just like a couple candles here that are getting really like there's like obviously this big red candle, but the rest of them are pretty small. I just can't really see how big they are compared to they're actually really small. There's like a 6-point candle, 6-point candle, 6-point candle. This big one over here was just like a huge candle compared to all of them. It's about a 30-point candle right there. Yeah, not really liking the consistency today with the volatility per candle. You can see these over here were like a few points, big candle right here, 30 points. And then again, back to these smaller 6-point candles right here. So not a lot of consistency. I didn't trade yesterday, so I'm not sure how the market was moving yesterday specifically, but looking at the market volatility today, it looks like it's pretty inconsistent overall. I mean, it looks like we were in a bigger range here. So looking at this, so it seems like after the news that happened this morning, so the news happened over here, the consolidation has actually been moving since pre-market right here. It's a huge range. Looks like from this point. Yeah, this range is like, so when price pushed up here, it looked like price could have possibly broken past it, but it didn't actually close past it. It rejected off this point here, this resistance, and then it came back down. So pretty much since 6:30 market open, it created this range right here, and it's been going back and forth since. So one thing that I'll be looking for here is if price breaks past this structure below. If it breaks past the structure, then it may drop further. If it doesn't, it's probably going to keep ranging within this area here in the middle. Yeah, so it looks like the buyers might be back in control from this point. I'll draw a green line here. If we have so what I'm looking for is I'm looking for some sort of engulfing, basically a reversal pattern. I'm looking for an engulfing or a V1 from this bottom end here. And then I'll look for this to climb back up, possibly break past this structure. Because again, I don't want to get caught in the structure like it did earlier right here. The MPS V1 or MPS V2 hit, but the engulfing after it did not hit. I mean, looking back at this candle was a little big, so I probably should have just waited for it to come down a little bit. But I mean, it's all good. We'll see what comes up here next. Let me go over here to the clean chart. So the consolidation is happening between this level, or not consolidation, I guess a bit. The range is happening between these levels right here, but the consolidation is happening in the middle. So the big range is right here between the 45,550 and the 45,450. The middle point right here is where price is kind of just sitting. It's a median. Looking at the SR chart, let's see. Looking at the SR chart, this is kind of where price is bouncing around from. Take this middle point off. So I mean, same difference. So looking over here at the clean chart, the range is pretty much in the same area. We have the resistance up here, support down here. This is the middle area, similar to the clean chart here. So the big range is outside these points. And then we got price kind of just sitting right here down the middle. See if any engulfing candles came up. So there's no engulfing candles yet. There's no confluences showing that the buyers are in control yet. Price is still stuck within this range. We have a buy signal here that's currently pending. I mean, we'll kind of see what happens here as price moves along further. So what could happen here is an MPS V2 could come up. We have a buy signal that pushes up, retraces, continues up higher. That's going to be an MPS V2. However, there's no confluences here. So there's not going to be an A+ setup coming up anytime soon. Yeah, there's just no A+ setup right now. So I'll probably be waiting a little longer. It's about to be 7 o'clock. I don't think there's any other news here aside from the gas stock change at 7:30. So we just got to wait for price to kind of break out of this range. We have a V1 setting up right here for a sell. So if this is a case, you might have the sellers back in control again. Right here. It's a choppy market for today. It's back and forth between this range. So if we get this V1 here, I have the sellers back in control from this point. If they drop price lower, that's fine. They'll probably try to aim for this liquidity target down here. If it drops any lower from there, next liquidity target down here as well. It's going to be at the sessions. But if it doesn't, then we might have price pushing up higher. So what I'll be looking for right here is if this price pushes past this high right here, it's going to invalidate this V1 and it's going to show that the buyers are still in control. We got a liquidity target right here. We got a liquidity target right here. Yeah, not the best market conditions today. Let's see. Sam said he's targeting all lower liquidities. Just a thought. Yeah. Well, if this here confirms, Sam, and it doesn't show that, this high gets invalidated, then I'll probably be looking for those targets below as well. Because we got a couple targets down here. We got these targets, and then we have a lower one right here for the Asia low. So if it does flip below, I'll have an opportunity to look, obviously a little bit lower for entry. That's a really slow market today. I thought market would be a little bit faster with the inflation news coming out, but it's not really going anywhere. Let's see, the range for today is it's like about 50 points. You got a 50-point range. Price has just been sitting in here for about an hour now. 30 minutes to an hour. I mean, realistically, we're looking for price to break out of this range because you don't really want to trade within this middle area here. It's pretty much straight consolidation at this point. All right. As we wait for something to happen, I'm gonna go grab some water real quick. All right. So it looks like the V1 over here might have gotten like slightly invalidated, but we'll see if it actually pushes above it even further. So this V1 right here, price pushed past it, but price is still going sideways. So I wouldn't necessarily invalidate the sellers just yet. Let me see if it holds position. All right. So it looks like it's pushing past it right here. If this green candle closes past this high, then I'm going to take this this red bar off because the buyers are still in control. So basically I'm gonna wait for this here to close past this area, which it looks like it's going to. Or not. Yeah, it looks like this high right here is acting as a, point of resistance. You can see how price is having trouble getting past that area. If and when price does finally break past it, I'm going to take this off right here and I'll just have the buyers in control because they've been pushing price up right here. There's just no reversal patterns down here, right? There's no engulfing, there's no V1s, there's not really much. I mean, realistically, price is just kind of going sideways. So this isn't a good area to trade in, guys. I would just wait. Wait for some sort of better confirmation here. So here we go. As price continues to go sideways. Are you in the sell already, Sam? I'm assuming you probably got in on this V1. So you're probably just waiting for it to come down lower, which I'm doing the same thing. If it ever does. So for today, guys, there's only 2 entries. If you guys are just joining in, there's 2 entries. One over here hit TP for an MPS V2. The following setup right here for engulfing was a loss, unfortunately, but this was before I realized we were at a resistance point. Either way, I thought this candle was going to break past it and then just continue climbing up, but it just never happened. Price just ended up turning around and then pulling back into this range. So looking at this here, we have an engulfing candle. With this engulfing candle here, this is probably going to indicate that the buyers are in control. If this candle closes above and it's bigger than this red one, I'm going to take off this red bar right here. And it looks like, yeah, there we go. Sellers never came in control. The buyers have been in control since 650 right here. And then we finally had a engulfing candle here, confirming the buyers. Again, price is having trouble getting past this resistance. If it closes above, be a nice setup or a nice confirmation. Yeah, hopefully you were in that sell right there, Sam, or maybe you got out at break even. Or I don't know. I'm not sure where you got in from if you were in this position. The only area I can see you possibly get in from was either up here or from down here. But looks like our buy. So we were identifying a buy to be, in power right here. We're bullish for a while. Looks like this here was just a fake out. Price pushed up, faked out. Now it's coming back up to where it's supposed to go. Knocked out the liquidity right here. So this liquidity is done with. But again, price is having trouble closing past this resistance point. So we're still within the range. So looking at this here, there's actually an MPS V2 that came up right here, guys. I didn't really notice it until now. But there was an MPS V2 that came up right here down the middle. I mean, I wouldn't have taken it because I'm looking for those A+ setups, but there was an MPS V2 that was right here down the middle. We had a buy signal, retracement, confirmation right here, and it pushed up from that point. And price is it's having a lot of trouble getting past this resistance right here. This is where we got caught up earlier. So pretty strong double top at this point. There's not really much here to work with. Again, we might have the sellers back in control from this high point. I'll draw another red bar right there. But for me personally, I would still just wait for some sort of confirmation here. Gosh, yeah, Samo there got stopped at break even, lost commission. It's all good. Better to get pulled out right there than later, right? All right, so let's see over here again. Now we'll be looking for price to again make an attempt to break past this structure. If it closes past it right here, then we may have the buyers back in control. However, if price doesn't break past it and it drops lower from this point, then we may have the sellers in control from here. But I mean, realistically, there hasn't been strong power on either side. Price has pretty much been ranging between this middle area since market open. Here's the SR chart. You guys can see here, same thing. This is the bigger range. And then obviously this is the smaller range. Consolidation. Okay, prices again, trying to push down from here. So we have the sellers in control right here from the 703 candle. We have an engulfing candle right here. Price is trying to make its way down. But it's still stuck within this range here. As you guys can see, there's not really much to look at. So we had price come down a little bit. but here we go, it swings back up. Liquidity. All right, so again, guys, I would wait for price to break out of this area to look for buys, or wait for price to break below to start looking for some sells. I mean, if you want to try to take the risk of like trading in between this range, I mean, you can. If I do see any entries here, I'll mark them up for you, but they're just not looking too good. We have another possible MPS V2 setting up right here. So we have price retracing. If it comes back down further, then it'll be a MPS V2. No confluence here, but I mean, we have one confluence, but it's not an A plus setup. Let's see. Shivam said Trump is announcing tariffs at 7 p.m. Maybe that's why it's slow. 1 p.m. Washington market is undecided as EU markets and FTSE booming. Yeah, no, so maybe that's the case. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on this week. You know, Trump's tariffs are going to go into effect this week. It's inflation week, so all the CPI data, PPI data is coming out for consumer price index and producer price index. I would expect more volatility, but it seems like, you know, there's something that's causing people not to trade right now because obviously this is prime time. This is where markets should be moving. I mean, it should be moving in general. Right now, it's not. It's just going sideways. So, you know, like I said, this is not the best time and place to take entries. If you want to take entries, I mean, there's possibility to take entries within these areas. It's just you're taking a big risk because if you do take a sell at this point, your farthest target will probably be like, you know, the low range right here. So it's just a tough area to trade in. Shivam said Russia, Ukraine as well. Yeah. So I think Russia, Ukraine, they're trying to put together some sort of ceasefire agreement to end the war. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. So it's really gonna be a little tough to see anything happen. I mean, ideally, I would say because of the specific news happening, that there'd be more volatility, but it's opposite. It seems like people are just kind of there's more fear in the market than greed right now. And I say fear because people are just scared to take positions or they're scared to get into some stuff that's gonna maybe blow up in their face, you know. Like for me, for example, right here, the buys. So we got price finally breaking past the structure right here, guys. The buyers are back in control, it looks like. So I would say the buyers were in control from right here. Okay, so it's probably going to reach for this liquidity target up there. Looks like the target's going to be up here. The only problem is that we have all of these red flags. So if you do see an MPS V2 here, it's going to be really tricky to get into. We got all these red flags sitting up here. CJ said those double sessions are taunting me. Yeah, I know. The sessions are right there, CJ. So, I mean, for me personally, I wouldn't take any entries to the upside yet, not yet. I'd probably look for price to break above here and then catch something in the middle. But I think this will be a little too tricky for me personally. So price did push up, it knocked out this liquidity target. So we might get a retracement here. What might happen here is like price will retrace, it'll set up for an MPS V2. But again, if you know the red flags are going to be in this area, so it's going to be a tricky area to be looking for entries. We have buy signal here, retracement, possible pushback up, but even if you get an entry right here, you got all of these red flags. You got the New York high, you got the Asia high. And then we have an engulfing candle right here. So possible fake out. pull back into the range. This range is undefeated. It's price is just respecting it. So no engulfing right there. Buyers are still in control. If this here is engulfing, the sellers might be back in control from this candle here. Okay, so it was engulfing. I guess we're just gonna have to deal with this area again. Liquidity target right there. The Shivam set is asking, what's the good ATR range that I'm expecting? So I think right now the ATR is pretty decent. It's not great, but it's pretty decent. It's at 26. So I think anything above 25 is pretty good, Shivam. Typically, in a market like this, you'd usually see ATR around 25 to 30. For market open, of course. Anything below 15 is not good. Anything below 20 is getting to the not good range. But I think right now we're decent ATR. It's just these candles, the consistency isn't really there, but the average of all the candles together, it gives, the good, decent ATR. Because right here you'll have these small candles. These are like 5, 6 points. And then you have a big one that's like 10 points, and then 20 points, and then 30 points. So you kind of have, there's not a consistency where it's like, where you have some type of movement like that. It's kind of like you get a big push up, consolidation, push up, push down, consolidation. It's like this. It's just not a really, it's not a really smooth market, right? Like for this here, you can kind of see a head and shoulders, but it's not like a smooth one. And let me go over here. I'll just show you real quick. So this is kind of like the market we're having right now. Push up, come down a little bit, push back up, come down hard. Kind of have something like that, right? So it looks like a head and shoulders right there, but market should be moving something like this. Right. So this is the market that we're currently in, very choppy, rangy market. It's okay to have a rangy market that's like this because you have a clear direction of price, like, ranging and then breaking out of it. But right here, you have price that's kind of like it's ranging, but then it doesn't necessarily break out of it. It just pulls right back in. So this is the difference between the market that we have, like, so I'll just put like today's market. See the difference? I mean, it's okay. Like sometimes stuff like this happens. This is just how the market is. Like for today, there's just not enough volatility. There's not really anybody in control that's pushing price up and down like this, like smoothly, right? We're having this right here, which kind of sucks because you can get caught in either way. Like you can be pulling it down and then you look for an entry like somewhere around here, and it comes down super sharply. For stuff like this, it's better because price will come up, retrace, and then when it comes back up right here, that's where you would take your entry, right? Instead of here, where you kind of get like fake outs on both sides. But this wasn't like, this would be hard to predict. Like there's no way we could really tell that this was going to happen because price was actually moving pre-market. So pre-market over here, this was actually moving pretty efficient, right? And then market opened and look at where we're at now. Like, here, let me scroll out real quick. Yeah, so if you compare this right here, pre-market, smooth push up into what we have right here actually on open, like you'd probably expect price to be like either continue to move up like this or, correction to the downside, smooth move to the downside, right? But we don't really have that here. So it's okay. I mean, this is just how the market is right now. You have to adapt with the market. You can't be too stuck on like one thing. And then again, look at these current candles. Look how small they are and look how big their wicks are. Let me turn off the pivots. See these candles? These are not good candles. Because you have these big ones here, like a 30-point candle. Then you have like a 0-point candle. Then you have, like maybe a 10-point candle. Then you have these really small ones. So you can see the market efficiency here. It's not very efficient. You have like, it comes up and down, but it's not a smooth up and down. It's more so like, instead of seeing this right here, you're seeing like this. Just a mess. Anyways, we'll keep looking for entries here, but my recommendation to you guys is probably just to sit back and just wait. If I don't have any more entries today, that's completely fine. I'll save my capital for tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have like a good entry that I can take, and then I'll just recoup the loss from today. It's not really a big deal because the fluctuation in like pricing and stuff like that's not like, it's not huge. So not really expecting much here anyways. Okay, so we got price pushing up right here. It looks like the seller, so I don't know if the sellers were actually in control at this point. If price breaks past this area right here, I'm gonna put that the sellers were never, I'm gonna take this off, and we'll have the buyers that have been in control since right here, 707. So about like 10 minutes they've been pushing price up. Just not a smooth push, because we did have some consolidation right here. But I need price to actually break past this liquidity target first. Let's see, Shivam said I'm following. Thanks for the explanation. Other question, while we're waiting, what contract size is recommended for a 300K account? So I mean, it kind of depends on like what your risk is. So if you want to risk more, I think the max loss for a 300K account is, it's 7,500, right? It's your trailing drawdown divided by 5. Typically, your max loss for the day should be about 1,500. So I mean, kind of depends on like what your plan is. Do you plan on taking one trade for the day and then be done? Do you plan on taking 2 trades for the day and be done? Because if you're taking 2 trades, you would just divide this by 2. So if you're just taking 1 trade, this is what your max risk should be for the day, 1,500. If you're taking 2 trades, then your max risk should be 750. So you can lose 2 trades to add up to that 1 loss. So I mean, the contract size depends on like what you're doing. Do you plan on taking 1 trade, Shivam, or you plan on taking 2? Because we could do the math from there. Ideally, as many as increased chance of funded. Well, that's the thing. If you're focusing on 1 trade, you're going to make more profit off 1 trade. But if you're taking multiple trades, it's going to be the same thing. You're still going to add up to the same amount, right, Shalom? So it's like, ideally, it doesn't matter how many you take. You have to like whatever you feel comfortable with. If you're like, okay, I want to take 1 trade for the day and I lose and I'm done, then you would just focus on 1. Yeah, if you just want to take 1, then you would risk about 1,500 per trade. So if you want to do that, I mean, that's what I do for the most part, right? Like I'm pretty much for the most, I might be done trading if I don't see anything that's really, really good, which is not looking like it's going to be today. So if you were to take 1 trade, I think that'd be around, I think 7 contracts. Let's see, 7 times 5 times 30. A little more, maybe 10. 10 times 5 times 30. Yeah, so you'd use 10 contracts max. You could probably use 10 contracts if you want to be a little bit on the safer side to like cover, a little more. You could use 9. So 9 or 10 contracts, you'll be risking about 1,500 per trade. So you'll take as many trades as you want, winning wise, but if you take a loss, you would just be done for the day. I mean, today, like today, I took the loss right here, right? Like this loss told me that the market's probably not moving. It's not going to move well today, and it pretty much it showed me that it wasn't going to, right? So I took the loss here, and you can see after there, price has not been moving smoothly. So if these A++ setups don't necessarily hit, then it kind of gives you the heads up like, hey, Siobhan, market's probably not going to move smooth, so you should probably just not trade for the rest of the day. And then you come back tomorrow and you just make it back on the next trade. That's what I'm doing. So like I took that loss for the day and I'm fine because we had a win on Tuesday. So I'm basically at break even for the week. So not horrible, but not super great. Yeah, Shivam said, okay, solid for that. I'll follow the plan. I think that's probably better because you know, the more trades I feel like the more trades you take, the more risk you put yourself at. Because if you just focus on one really good trade for the day or two really good trades for the day, you can lock in profits that way. You just keep adding, you know, they just keep multiplying as the week progresses. Um, versus taking like 3 trades. Like if you were to take 2 or 3 trades, you could win one trade and then you could lose the other, and then you're back at break even. It's like you didn't take a trade. Instead, if you just focus on that first trade and you won that one, then you'd be in profit and you could pretty much just wait until the next day. So for me personally, I think less trades is better. But for other people, it's different, right? Some other people, they want to have like a backup. Like if they lose a trade, they want to take another one because they want to make it back. For me, I don't really feel that need to make it back. If I lose a trade, I'm already like, okay, the market's probably not going to move in my favor today, which it isn't. You can see over here, it's not. We're starting to move to the upside now. Liquidity is done right here. I'm going to take this off. The sellers never came in control. The buyers have been in control since. So we had an MPS V2 that came up right here. There's a lot of MPS V2s that are coming up by themselves. Like, so not with the A++, but they're coming up solo. There's another one that came up right here. So the buy signal came up, price retraced. This candle right here broke and closed past this, or this candle right here broke and closed past this momentum. And this here was an A+, or not an A+ setup, but it was a MPS V2. But I'm looking for the A++ setup, so I don't necessarily look at these by themselves. So what I would look for next, if I was looking for an entry, I'd look for an engulfing or a V1 to happen somewhere up here. The only problem is that we're at the red flag here, the session. So what I would look for here, if I'm looking to take the next entry, is I'd look for price to break above this area, retrace, come back up higher, and then target the opening price. Right? So push up, retrace, push back up. Entry from here. And push up to the opening price. Buyers have been in control here since 7:06. We had an engulfing candle right here. This is one confirmation of bullish move. Then we have the MPS V2 that came up right here, buy signal, retracement, break and close right there. So the third confluence would be a V1 or engulfing candle over here. And this would set up for an A++ entry. Yeah, CJ said those sessions are messing up the flow. I know. This has been the issue for like the past couple days. If you guys have been following, like, I mean, not the past couple days, but I guess the past couple weeks, we've kind of been stuck at the sessions. And you can see here how price has trouble getting past it, right? This is why we don't trade at the sessions, because price gets highly manipulated around these areas. And this just comes from experience, right? We've seen this happen so many times. So this is why we just avoid trades at these specific points. I mean, you don't have to avoid them, but you know, after losing so many trades at this area, I just don't take trades around those areas anymore. Thanks, CJ. We got news coming up in about 4 minutes. We have a gas stock change. It's low impact, so you don't have to be too worried about it, but it is news nonetheless. So something to possibly keep in mind. I'll just keep extending this over the consolidation area, because you know what might happen here is another fake out and then pull back into the range. I mean, at this point, the sellers could possibly be back in control from here. So we have a high point here. This is going to be a liquidity target. We have an engulfing candle right here. It's a big candle. So we had buyers, and it looks like, so whenever there's a push, it looks like the directional push happens for like maybe a few moments, and then it flips the other way. Like maybe like 10 minutes or so. That seems like the market cycle for the direction. We had a buy signal here, price push this way. Yeah, 10 minutes. So it pushed up for about 10 minutes, then it came down for a little bit. For about 5 minutes. And then from here again, it pushed right back up for another like 10, 12 minutes. So the market cycles right here look like they last for about 10 minutes. So, if you want to wait for this here to push down for about 10 candles, let's see how far it's pushed. We're at the 8-minute candle. So in the next 2 minutes, you might see a flip back to the upside because the market cycles right here seem like they last for about 10 minutes and then they come back up. That's like literally what happens here. And that's what's using like what you have in front of you to your advantage, right? There's going to be these little patterns sometimes. You'll see how price kind of holds for a little bit, and you're like, okay, this has been holding for 10 minutes. This has been holding for 5 minutes. This has been holding for 10 minutes. Again, this is holding for 10 minutes. So maybe after the 10 minutes have passed, you can look for it to push up, maybe for 5 minutes, and then come back down. Market cycles last between like 5 to 10 minutes. We have another V1 variation pattern right here. So this is the 9-minute candle. So this might be the flip back to the upside that I just mentioned. It's identifying these patterns real time. These patterns are easy to identify when the market's already passed, but when you're watching it real time, you just have to adapt with the market. You have to understand what's happening. Like how long has it been pushing? How long has it been retracing? How long has it been continuing? Stuff like that matters. Time-based stuff like this really matters, especially in a market that we're currently in. Because this isn't a usual market, right? Usual market's like, okay, today's bullish and it does this all day. Or today's bearish and price does this all day. It's not really the case this time around. Like this year, price is not really going that way. We have like price pusher for a little bit, and it comes down, and it comes back up, and it comes back down. It's just a never-ending cycle. This is why a lot of people are kind of getting burnt this year. I mean, I'm in a lot of different groups, specifically for the prop firms. Like I'm in a lot of prop firm groups, and I see a lot of people that are like blowing accounts or they're just not consistent, and people are getting super frustrated because they're used to seeing, consistent ups and downs. Like you've seen people trade. There's specific strategies where people will trade stuff like this. Like I think one of them is what that thing's called. But there's like a specific strategy that people look for. Like basically at 7:30, they try to, I don't know what it's called, but some people, it's a really popular strategy. They try to mark up the market open range between like market open till 7:30, and then they look for the correction back to the other direction. But it doesn't happen because this type of market, it doesn't do that anymore, right? Because I feel like last year a lot of people were following that specific strategy. There was like another streamer that used to do it. His name was like Matt. He was doing it with like Apex accounts before, and he was making a killing. Like last year, he did pretty well, and then this year he's kind of like not doing as good as he was last year because the market's different. CJ said so. Basically, they trade like opposite Rick. Yeah, exactly. Back to open. Yeah, basically a back to open strategy. They look for price to reach the upper range by 7:30, and then they go back to open. So, for example, here, this is 7:30, right? So they'll look for price to kind of open. It opens from here. It drops to 7:30. And then they try to ride this back to open. But what happens a lot of times is it doesn't go back to open. It just comes back down because the range is actually down here. So I don't know. Everyone has a different type of strategy. I mean, our strategy, I think, works well pretty much all year round for the most part. It's just kind of adapting to small things, adjusting TP stop loss and avoiding red flags, of course. I think that's probably the biggest thing to do. Let's see. Shivam said, what's RR? So there's a couple different ones that you can use. You can use a 20/20, a 30/30, or you can use a 20/30. The original risk reward that Barack set up was 20/30, but you can see over here, like you don't have to go for the full 30 because usually if it goes in your direction, it doesn't retrace back that much. So like for example, I mean, but it kind of depends on the market, right? Like I think for right here, I think a 20/30 works best because you get this choppiness. So like if price does retrace back a little bit, you have enough cushion to like protect your position. But if you want to be a little more aggressive, you can go for 20/20. Like for example, this MPS V2 that happened right here, there's like a little retracement, but not a super amount. So like 20 points could have been okay. You could have did a one to one right there. And same with this one over here. For this MPS V2, there was no drawdown at all. So I would say look at the market conditions. And if you see it as choppy, I would probably go for either 20-30 or 30-30. And then vice versa, if the market conditions are pretty smooth and there's like not very much retracement, then you can go for a tight 20-20 because it's probably going to go straight to your TP, not retrace at all. But again, guys, we don't have anything going on here. We have a basically have the buyers in control right here from 726. We have price pushing up. We have an engulfing candle right here. Let's see how far this has been pushing for. 6 minutes. So you could possibly anticipate a reversal back to the downside by this point right here or before it. Because these market cycles only last for about 10 minutes usually. Like for example, the sellers right here, this thing lasted for like 7 minutes before it swung back up. So we'll see. I mean, price might come up here, bounce off the sessions, and then come back down. Yeah, it's funny, Sam. Sam just mentioned ICT SMC. Let's see. Lamar, I would check your so I would check your distance to drawdown on your trade evade. If the account doesn't let you execute any more trades, then you would have violated the criteria. But if your account's still letting you execute trades, then it should still be working. So yeah, your distance to drawdown should be at 0. Or it should be negative actually. It'll be in the red. So just pull up your trade evade, and if it's in the red, then unfortunately you probably blew your account. But if you didn't, then it should be it should still be like in positive. Sometimes you get really close to it, but you don't actually violate it. So I wouldn't count yourself out just yet. Yeah, we got Jason right here. Jason said it works when New York close and in Asia most of the time, where every New York close, Asia goes the other way. And that's what he's seeing in the last weeks. Yeah, I've seen the same thing. Yeah, Jason said market these days, you have to be patient or you'll blow your account. I agree with you 100%. That's why, like for me, if I take a loss, I'm usually like, okay, the market's probably not going to move smooth today, so it's better to just sit out. Okay, guys, so like I said earlier, expect the market to turn the other way. And it looks like it's starting to turn the other way right here. So it's starting to look like these market cycles are getting smaller and smaller. So this was only like 7 minutes. Before it was like a 10-minute market cycle. Now every 7 minutes, price flips the other way. And you can see from these lines right here. So this green line indicated that buyers were in control, then the sellers were in control, then the buyers were back in control. And it just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller because the thing is price isn't going anywhere and it's having trouble getting past the sessions right here. So we got another high right here. So basically, if I see price break past here and knock out liquidity, then I'll take off this red line right here. But for the most part, it looks like, price is stuck in this area. Hasn't really pushed much. The opening price is right here. So if we look at like where price moved from open, it's about 50 points. So not too far. All right. I'm not really expecting much to happen here in the next 20 minutes. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I think for myself, I'm probably not going to execute any more trades for the day because it just looks like there's nothing going to happen here. I'll analyze and I'll keep looking for opportunities, but for the most part, it looks like we're not going to get much here. Let's take a look at the clean chart. Yeah, there's not much. I mean, price is in an upwards trajectory right here. It looks like it's trying to fill this big drop from earlier this morning. It's not a smooth push to the upside, but it is pushing up. We got the SR charts right here. It's currently at the resistance. See how price is having trouble getting past this area? So it looks like it's going to stay within this area. It's been consolidating within this middle point for, say, about 20 minutes now. Almost 30 minutes. Sideways consolidation. Hey, Brock. Hey, Brock. It's a good day, y'all. Late to the party, but hopeful. Yeah, we'll see, Brock. I mean, there's nothing going on here. If you look at like my markups for the day so far, so there's a couple MPS V2s that came up. I don't know if you saw these earlier. There was basically there's three MPS V2s that came up and they all hit TP. The only one that I took here that lost was an A plus setup. I didn't mark up the range here, so I think if I marked up the range, I would have noticed it, but I just didn't see it there. I thought price was going to close above it. So analysis was fine though. I mean, you can see over here, price came down, closed the range, and then it came right back up. So unfortunately, just got caught in the chop right here down the middle. MPS V2 is working out perfectly fine. It's just the other entries are not. I mean, there's only one other entry. But I mean, so far the market looks not great, but it's been hitting. So we have 3 wins and 1 loss. Unfortunately, I took the 1 loss. All right, so the sellers never came in control here, guys. Sellers never came in control. They tried to push price down right here, but it failed. Price is now pushing up and it's pushing up to the opening price. We have the buyers in control right here. They've been in control for a while, since 726. We have one engulfing candle and one V1 variation right here. So what we would need here is we would need to see price push up, retrace, and continue up higher. Yeah, Brock says it happens. Part of it, looking for a bearish momentum. Yeah. Ideally, that's what you want to look for because you want price to push up a little bit, then come right back, or push down a little bit for retracement, then come right back up. But it looks like the stride here is starting to really push through because the buyers have been in control for a while now. So from here up to here, buyers have been in control for about 15 minutes. So it's past the 10-minute mark now, and it's climbing up pretty decently. So ideally, what you want to see here is price push up, retrace, push up higher. Yeah, Christian said waiting for that engulfment of V1. Looks like we'll be waiting for that. ATR is currently at 20 right now, so the volatility is, I mean, it's still pretty low. It's actually getting lower. 18 ATR now. So we'll see if it keeps pushing up or if it just ends up going sideways right here. It might just sit sideways at the sessions. But the SR did break past it, so next resistance is going to be up here. Clean chart. Main chart. All right, we'll see if this here continues up higher. 7:43 right now. So we're getting closer and closer to 8 o'clock, guys. The volatility here is starting to slow down a little bit, as you guys can see. This is pretty normal for the time that we're currently at. Usually used to be at closer to 8 o'clock. The candle starts to get flatter and flatter, and the market kind of flattens out between 8 and 9. All right, we got price pushing up. There's no confluences here. I mean, if you guys want to keep climbing this up higher, you can. I mean, if anybody's holding on to it, the V1's been pushing since this point right here. So from here, V1's been pushing up about 40 points now. Buyers in control. Glenn is asking if the 742 candle is an entry for MPSV2. No. The MPSV2 came up over here, Glenn. Or actually, so you're talking about this red, this green one right here, right? So let's see. Actually, you are right. So it came up right here at. Let me try to mark it. It's hard to see because of like all the lines here. The entry came up right here at 637 actually, but it was at the red flags. So the buy signal is right here, price retraced down, and then it broke up right here at the 737 candle. So the entry would have happened right here at 732. So I didn't even realize that because I had a line drawn right there. So I didn't see the green buy signal, but yeah, actually the MPS V2 would have happened from right here. It like barely closed above it. But if you didn't see that one, then yeah, your analysis right here would have been right too. But this is the actual entry because this green candle broke past it. It'd be this one right here, the 741. So buy signal. Since then, there hasn't been very many buy signals though. Or like any actually. So it looks like the sellers here might try to be back in control, or this just might be a small retracement. We had price push up. We have an engulfing candle right here. Price starting to come down a little bit. We want that sell signal to come up. So it doesn't matter if it's valid or invalid. We do want the sell signal to come up though. This will probably reset the analysis though. So like if the sell signal comes up and it stays low, then the sellers might be back in control, or we might have that marked up right here as them coming back in control. And then once the buyers come back, that's going to reset the whole structure. And the market's not so great this week. I mean, it's okay. The market, I would say the market's okay. It's not super great. It's not super bad. It's just okay for the most part. Yeah, because I think the days this week were kind of they're kind of hit or miss. I feel like Monday was like a hit or miss day. I didn't take any trades Monday. That was like just a neutral day. Tuesday was good. We took a couple trades that day. Yesterday I didn't trade, but it seems like some of you guys here did take some good trades. Like I saw CJ and Christian, they both shared like good entries in the chat yesterday. And then today, I think today was a little bit of a toss up. I think overall it was good. There was like, so looking at the set markups here, there was like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 entries that came up that hit, and then there was one that lost. The only one that I lost was the one that I decided to take. But here, let's just go back to that analysis real quick. So we had engulfing, MPSV2, and then another engulfing. So the setup here was good. It was at this resistance point. So, if I identified that resistance before, I probably could have just sat out of it. I did enter that trade late too, so I would maybe consider that a FOMO move on my part, because price did come back down right here, and that's where I entered. I wasn't supposed to be in this position because I got in a little late already to begin with. All right, so price retraced down. We have another engulfing candle right here. The thing is, the buy signal never came up, guys. So or the sell signal never came up. So we never had that full on retracement that we were looking to confirm. So this candle has about 20 seconds left on it. If this candle closes above, it's going to be engulfing. And this might indicate that the buyers are pushing price back up. You have another liquidity right here. We have liquidity right here too. We got liquidity sitting, a lot of liquidity sitting down here actually. Two of them right there. Another one right here, possibly. Yeah, there's not much going on here, guys. Looking at this here, price might even pull back into the range. So broke above, looks like might fake out, pull back into the range here, knock out liquidity, and then possibly sit down. There's a lot of targets down here, that's why. So I'm looking at the liquidity. Like there's reasons for price to come down here if it does come down. It doesn't necessarily have to, but if it does come down, logically it makes sense because there's liquidity sitting right here and there's liquidity sitting down here. So like there's a reason for price to come down to this point. There's like one liquidity target up there, two, they're a little farther up. But with the type of market that we're currently in, I probably see this coming down further, but I don't know. I would say it's very it's very tricky to I wouldn't predict the direction of price. I would kind of just go with the flow of market. I do have the sellers back in, well, not really back in control, but yeah, for the most part, they are back in control here. We have an engulfing candle right here. This is a reversal pattern. So price pushed up, engulfing to the downside, another engulfing right here. And if you get an MPS V2, this is going to be an A+ setup, right? So if you get a sell signal here, possibly A++ setup to the downside. And then if it does come down here, you have targets down here, liquidity, and you have liquidity down here. So it's just, something to keep in mind, guys. Something to keep in mind. Don't be too fixated on one direction. You can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna only look for buys today, because price can easily shift down, and we're having that shift here right now as we speak. Let's see. Sam said, I wonder if the market makers want all the sell side trend line and normal liquidity below. I was thinking, yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Sam, because I mean there is a trend line right here. And if price decides to finally flip, right? If price, oops, wrong tool. So we do have a trend line right here. And if it decides to flip the other way, here I'll use it's gonna be easier to see with parallel channels. So we do have the trend line going up. If it breaks below, so see if price breaks below this point here, it's gonna knock out all that liquidity. Like, so like I said, don't be married to a position, guys. Like you don't have to be stuck in like only for buys or be stuck on only for sells. Go with like the flow market. Right now, the flow market could be coming back to the downside because there's liquidity sitting down here. Yeah, let's see. Barack said this whole zigzag movement looks to me like compression to open. That's why I was expecting it to sell to the lowest price has been since open. No buy momentum yet means we have to wait. Yeah, exactly. So the sell momentum here is actually what we're waiting for, because we can't get a buy momentum until the sell momentum here actually closes. So looks like the sell momentum is going to finally close. And we might have price targeting the lower liquidity down here. So, just something to look out for right here. This price continues to move along. All right, so we have this could be conflicting right here. So we might get a possible MPS V2. So we have a retracement right here, right? If this here ends up coming back down lower, we may have a MPS V2. However, we might have the buyers flip price back to the upside if this here does close as engulfing. So we're about 6 minutes till 8, guys. So I'll try to see if there's anything else here that's likely to come up. Otherwise, if we don't see anything here happen from now until like closer to 8, then we'll probably just wrap it up for the day. I think I'm personally done trading because I just don't see the market really doing too much today. I mean, it's been, like Barack said, it's a zigzag market. It's not really moving very directional to the upside or very directional to the downside. Our strategies here are directional. So for the most part, you do want price to kind of move in some sort of direction. Doesn't necessarily mean they don't work during a sideways market, because you can see there's about 4 entries that came up here that did hit. But for me to look for those A plus type setups, I would need price to be moving directional. So there's 2 scenarios here that can play out, guys. Either one, price pushes back down and closes below this momentum right here. If price pushes back down and we get a red candle that closes below, that's going to be an MPS V2. It's also going to be a triple A plus plus setup. So a couple things here that you want to look for. Ideally, I think the sell will play out. If it does come up, I think it will play out if you guys do plan on taking it. So this candle here might close below it. I'm just going to watch. I'm not going to take it because, like I said, I already took my risk for the day. So here's the entry, guys. So the entry is currently running. I'm not in the position. I already took my risk for the day. It's probably going to come down here, knock out the liquidity. And then if it does come out, knock out the liquidity, it's probably going to blast right through and hit the full TP. So this right here is an MPS V2. It's also an A++ setup because we have engulfing, 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 and then another engulfing right here. Basically 4 engulfing candles indicating that the sellers are in control. Plus we have the MPS V2 setup right here. The only problem here is that we're back into the range. It's a problem, but it's also a positive because you do want price to be in the range for it to hit the target right here, right? Because if it's stuck in this range here, or if it's returned back into the range, we're expecting it to drop at least to this lower liquidity, right? So we'll kind of see what happens here. I'm not in this position. I'm just following it for you guys. I don't like the market conditions for the day. Personally, I just don't like the way the market's moving. So, and I already took my loss for the day, so I'm not really looking to rack up another loss. If this here doesn't play as anticipated. But I'll follow for you guys. Again, I'm not in this position, guys. Just another reminder. We're just following it here. If you guys want to take it, feel free. If you don't want to take it, I would probably just sit out because the market here is not really moving. It's not moving smooth and it's not moving very consistent. Like I wouldn't say this is an efficient market because if it was efficient, we would see stuff like, and let me go to a clean chart, I'll just show you. So in order for this to be efficient, like, like I just said, it's okay for price to consolidate, but you want it to break out of the consolidation and break lower. And then it's fine if it comes back. But this is what I would consider an efficient market, right? If it was moving like this. Because if it was moving like this, you'll have pockets here to take entries, right? Because price will break out of here. You can take an entry as price comes back down. There'll be a pocket of consolidation. Take another entry right there. Pocket of consolidation. And then you can take entries in these pockets, of course. You could even take entries within this area because when price breaks out, you could ride it to the next range, right? Ideally, this would be considered an efficient market to some extent. But that's not the case for today. Let me show you what the market's looking like today or how it's moving today. The market today is doing this. It initially was, and this is like when market opened, pushed up, came down sharply, consolidated, faked out. This is the market for today, right? You don't really have pockets here. You have a big range here with fake outs. And then this is kind of where we're at right now. We're back into the range. Right. So it's like a messy market. It's not efficient where you can kind of see patterns kind of play through. It's kind of like you could get washed out in either direction, whether you take a buy or a sell. So for that specific reason, I'm not looking to take anything right now. If you guys want to take some stuff, feel free to take them. But for me, I'm just going to play it safe. There's no need for me to force any trades here. I'm going to take this off because I don't want you guys to think I'm in the position. It's still technically running right now, but not one that I would necessarily recommend taking. Because again, right here, we're back in that zigzag motion. So looking at this here, it looks like price actually established a new range. So looking at this here now, the new range. So this is very similar to what happened last week, actually. This is like super, super similar. So like what happened here is like we had kind of it was a lower range and price broke above and then it just stayed above in this range. There's like two ranges that are above each other. Looking at the clean chart. Yeah, that's kind of like how this here is working. We have this lower range, and let me just draw the box here. So you have a lower range, and we have an upper range. So this is similar to like what we dealt with last week. Not consistent, but range, push up, range, and it kind of just goes back between each other. So, all right, guys. I think this might be it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, it does not look like we're in a good market today. So I would probably just sit out. I mean, if you guys want to keep looking for entries, feel free. But from my point of view right here, I think it's best to just not taking more trades and just come back tomorrow. Let me check the news for tomorrow because that's what I'm going to do. So for tomorrow, we have some high impact news pre-market again. We got retail sales year over year, gas, auto. We have retail sales month over month, retail sales control group month over month. So we got some high impact news right here pre-market at 5:30. Have some medium impact news at 6:15. We got business inventories at 7 o'clock. And that's about it. So, I mean, maybe tomorrow market will move a lot smoother, but today's just not one of those days where I would necessarily recommend taking any risk or any risk more than you should. So sellers push price down slightly. And the buyers are back in control from over here, or trying to be back in control. Yeah, it's a little bit of a mess here. Let's see. CJ said maybe the news conference Trump has set for 1 p.m. is making the market move like this. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm expecting too. Like since you guys mentioned that Trump is supposed to be implementing like the tariffs today, I think the market's just there's nobody in the market really pushing price up or down. You know, people aren't really taking those. They're not taking those bets. They're kind of just waiting to see what Trump has to say. Because for the news today, there's either going to be one of two things happening. Either Trump is going to move forward with the tariffs, which is going to affect the economy overall, or he's going to give another extension, right? He's going to ask for another 30 or 60 days to determine if Mexico and Canada will comply, or maybe he'll just implement them. I mean, who knows? We don't really know what Trump will do. He's a hard like person to really, I guess, read, because Trump he says a lot of things, but he doesn't necessarily actually do them. So we'll see. And he does certain things, but not everything. And I guess we'll kind of see what happens here. See, Barack said he's holding a sell from 445.75. Okay, so Barack took a sell right here. He took this engulfing from up here. So Barack's currently in the sell. About 26 points in profit. Yeah, Barack's trying to mitigate his position. So I mean, it kind of depends on like if the buyers here, if they establish control, Barack, because like looking at this here, the buyers have been in control since 7:55 or trying to be in control. There's a buy signal right here. This is an MPSV2. So if this here closes with this buy with this green candle, this is going to be an MPSV2 entry. Right. So this is going to be a possible MPSV2. There's a V1 variation right here. It's one confluence. There's no two confluences. So this is not going to be an A+ setup, but it's going to be a setup for an MPSV2. And it looks like it's going to close above it right now. All right, Shivam. Yeah, Shivam said see you tomorrow. Yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be on a little earlier, like on time tomorrow, guys. Today I had an issue. I mean, I still have an issue with YouTube. So the Zoom stream is fine. If I can't get on the YouTube tomorrow, I'll be here on the Zoom for sure. But this whole like over the past like 10 minutes from market open, YouTube basically kept asking me to verify myself. And then after I verified myself, it just kept saying that I need to use the internet connection that I've used before, but I can't because I'm not at home. I'm on vacation. So I'll try to fix the YouTube for tomorrow. I'll try to set it up a little earlier, but that's why I started late today, was because the YouTube wouldn't let me get the live stream up. I'll try to find a workaround. But yeah, it's always an issue when I'm using a different connection and I'm in a different place. All right, Brock, so the MPS V2 closed right here. I think it probably already hit TP, maybe. Not yet, almost. Yeah, the MPS V2 right there is currently running. It was at a red flag though, so tricky entry, but we do have the MPS V2. It's probably going to push up to this liquidity target. It's not an A++ setup, but it is an MPS V2. MPS V2 has been hitting today. There's been about 4 entries that came up today and they all hit right here. This one is pushing up. Looks like it's about to hit TP right there. Almost. A few more. There we go. Full TP on that MPS V2. So the MPS V2 is hitting, guys. It's just the A+ setups haven't been coming up. There was only one that came up here. It didn't even actually work out. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of this is just the kind of market that we're in right now. I'm going to try to mark up these zones as soon as I see them, because you can see over here when price gets to the lower end of the zones, probably not a good point to take entry, because that's how I got screwed right here for my loss. Price was at the resistance. I should have probably just avoided it, but I still took it and I ate the loss right there. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for the day. It's past 8 o'clock. Again, I would recommend you guys just wait for the market tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be moving a lot smoother, but you can see over here from today is just a lot of choppiness, a lot of zigzag movement back and forth. Basically two ranges right here where price got caught up in. And I think that's kind of where we're going to call it. So, all right, guys, if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. I'll be back here tomorrow, same place, same time as we wrap up the trading week. Hopefully tomorrow will be a lot better, and then we can close out this week strong. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, hit me up. Otherwise, same place, same time tomorrow as we close out this trading week.